The line of the horizon marks the end of our perception. It's a literal vanishing point, the boundary of our established experience. In recent centuries, we understand that this is more optical illusion than geographic fact. The world is not flat, and there's no point where we or our experience drop off the face of the Earth. Sometimes advancement is circular. Gemini was the patron constellation of those who bravely pursued the horizon. Its appearance in the sky heralded the stormy season, a physical representation of the restlessness that stirred within. Polarity was once a well-known fact. Our knowledge of the world was based on explorations of opposing forces, seeking information about one in the other. Earth and sky, God and mortal, past and present. We understood that each had strengths and weaknesses which informed our understanding of the other, and often each could be found in its opposing heart. In the end, duality and non-duality may be another expression of this polarity, each containing the concept of the other as equal and opposite truths. Astrology can be viewed as a journey with each sign bringing new development to the seeker, itself an exploration of opposing perspectives and values. And in no sign is this clearer than in Gemini. Gemini is a bicorporeal sign, an energy with two distinct bodies. Among the Sumerians, it was the Great Companions, likely a celebration of certain divine consorts, many of whom were cast into the underworld and raised again out of godly devotion. The contrast between life and death highlights different facets of these characters, often given different epithets at different points in their mythologies. The Babylonians saw this constellation as a set of fierce protectors, made wise for their experience in the liminal space, and looked to them for guidance as they entered the deadly heat of summer. The companions became guides through the underworld, navigating the seeker past death. But as the individual rose to prominence, this bicorporeality took on a different tone. The Great Companions became Gemini, the twins, a dual expression of the one. We now associate the twins with Castor and Pollux, the Argonaut brothers cast into the sky through bravery and brotherly love. But to look at their story from the end is an oversimplification. A sign so focused on discovery requires a more in-depth exploration of its archetypes, and like the sign itself, there are many. Castor and Pollux were two of over 50 intrepid explorers who boarded the Argo in pursuit of a grand prophecy, a destiny which brought the past to meet the future and launched new stories from the ends of the old. It was a moment of contrast that has captured the imaginations of countless storytellers throughout history, an exploration of polarity befitting the constellation. Gemini may be the bodies of Castor and Pollux, but its appearance on the horizon is a reminder of a greater duality. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet we look to in magic for prophecy and spirit communication. So it should come as no surprise that prophecy is woven so deeply into the constellation's origin story. To the ancients, the mind was its own frontier to be explored and conquered. And at times, prophecy acted like a puzzle of logic. If one could deconstruct the message and rearrange its meanings, perhaps the fates could be outwitted. This was the game Peleus played in the kingdom of Iolcus. Even after he usurped the rightful line of rule, installed himself as king, and banished any who might challenge his claim, Peleus lived with a peculiar fear delivered to him by the oracles. Beware a man wearing one sandal. The funny thing about prophecy is how it ties the past and the present directly to the future. By attempting to cheat the fates and avoid answering for our judgment, we only assure that we are delivered directly to the point foretold. Peleus' fate was sealed when he offered a sacrifice to Poseidon, inviting the whole of the kingdom to join him on the shores. What he did not know was that Jason, his nephew and son of the king he overthrew, had come to restore the rightful order. When the stranger approached, Peleus noticed he wore only one sandal. Fate was knocking. The past was coming to claim his future. Peleus was not yet ready to give up his gambit. Instead, he greeted Jason with a question. What would you do with the man who would be your downfall? But Jason was not an ordinary man. He was the great-grandson of Hermes, raised by the great teacher Chiron, and beloved of Hera. It was her blessing, bestowed as his sandal was swept away, helping an old woman cross a river, which helped him deliver his answer. I would have him fetch the golden fleece. Jason didn't know that Peleus was a man haunted by the past. Not only was he trying to outrun his treachery and avert the future foretold, he was also host to a familiar spirit, Phrixus. We tend to imagine expeditions of discovery as pioneers in search of the new. But the Argonauts set sail for a familiar destination where an old prize awaited, the Golden Fleece. You may know Chrysomalos, the golden ram of Ares. This miraculous ram delivered Phrixus to Colchis and instructed the prince to sacrifice his rescuer to Poseidon in gratitude. His golden fleece was then given to King Aetes in thanks for providing safety. But gold and prophecy bring kingdoms to dust, and the hide of Chrysomalos delivered both to Aetes' shores. The golden fleece was hung in a sacred grove, guarded by sleepless serpents and bulls of brass, but Aetes' kingdom would last only as long as it remained there. Phrixus was the last stranger to enter Colchis. All others were put to death, lest Aetes lose his right to rule. The fleece became a symbol of sovereignty, the divine authority of kings. If Jason could infiltrate Aetes' kingdom and retrieve the skin within, Peleus agreed to relinquish his throne to the obvious rightful ruler. Phrixus knew Jason's plight all too well, denied his place as heir, driven from his home under threat of death, relying solely on divine guidance and faith in the gods for survival. Phrixus was a bitter spirit in Peleus's ear, a reminder that time often returned to claim what had been denied. Peleus never intended for Jason to return, for the future or the past to land on his shores. The seas were treacherous, and as the son of Poseidon, Peleus counted on their aid to assure his throne. Even if he reached Colchis, Jason would need to face the beasts who guarded the grove. When the Argonauts set sail, Peleus was sure his rule was secured, but again, his actions only ensured the fulfillment of the prophecy he wished to avoid. The Argonauts arrived on the shores of Colchis and won the fleece. Their expedition was successful, fulfilling one prophecy so that another might continue the story. The tale of the Argonauts is a perfect node in mythological history, one we can trace back through the Golden Fleece to Phrixus and Hele and the foundation of Thessaly, and forwards towards the death of Peleus at the hands of Medea and the tragedy that became of her and her descendants. Never is it more evident than through myth that time, like the earth we inhabit, is round, and eventually we arrive back where we started. Gemini encourages us to explore our surroundings no matter the cost. It's the point where our perspective converges, the vanishing point of past and future, time and space. It takes an immense amount of courage to pursue the horizon, to face down prophecy and knit together the threads of fate. But it's the only way to truly cheat death, to advance the story and live the experience fully, no matter how stormy the seas. It allows us to experience reality through the perspective of others, to learn their deepest fears and greatest aspirations, to join forces or pit ourselves against them in rivalries, the full spectrum of polarity that experience allows. If we embrace the unknown and set out in search of experience, we win a degree of sovereignty, truly priceless and divine. Who's your favorite Argonaut? Let me know in the comments below. Please make sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you next week. Thanks so much for watching.